Reppin' Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh, stay Philly, Philly Goat. Go Birds. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 14th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday. That means it's time for a little positivity / motivation. Brought to you, as always, by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to theclashingconferences.com to see how you can join. Also, check out their podcasts anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We here at This Day in Philly Sports History are proud members of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. All right, and today, it's not really a quote. It's kind of two things that I've experienced over the past week. They are related. I promise you that. But the first is, and I talk about this all the time, but just taking care of your mental health. You just reach out to somebody, talk. And so many people suffer in silence, especially men, because of the stigma and it's not cool, this, that, or the other. I mean, I think I've said it a lot of times here. I've been in therapy, kind of worked through some things, and it's done wonders. But too many people suffer in silence. And the reason I bring this up is I went to a funeral over the last Friday for someone I didn't even know, someone who was my age, who committed suicide or died by suicide. I know there's kind of the distinction there. But for all intents and purposes, definitely this dude was suffering with a lot of demons, a lot of things inside. And who knows, maybe it would have played out different if he had talked to someone, worked through his things or whatever. So it's just more of a PSA to get your mental health in check. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. If you don't know how to do it, reach out to me. I'll help you. It's just very, very important to work through that and not suffer in silence and not let things fester and things like that, because there are other options. And I'm a big believer in that. So get your mental health in check. If you need help, like I said, reach out to me. I'll do whatever I can and be more than willing to support to do that. But that leads into the other thing. And without going into details, like I said, I didn't know this guy. I was going to support some people that are very close to me. But how do you want to be remembered? And it was a very awkward thing because of these demons and things like that. It just seemed like everybody was there because they felt like they were obligated. But how do you want to be remembered? The preacher that was there talked about, and I heard this at my grandmother's funeral too, and I really like it. If you walk through a cemetery, you see gravestones, and they have two dates separated by a dash. But those 2 years, those two dates are really only two distinct events in a person's life. Your life really, and I'm paraphrasing here, it was a poem, but your life essentially is that dash. What you do between those two dates, that's how you're going to be remembered. So obviously, you're not going to be at your funeral to know what people say, but how do you want to be remembered? Do you want it to be an awkward situation that I just experienced, or do you want people to talk about the good you did, the good times, what you gave back, things like that? So I've been thinking like nonstop about this since Friday, and just as you go through your weeks, take care of your mental health, but think about that dash. What are you doing in that dash that people are going to remember you by? Is it going to be not getting your mental health in check and going through the situation I was in, or is it going to be something worthwhile, something meaningful? So work on that dash because, again, if you ever see a tombstone, there's 2 dates on it, and those are just 2 events in a person's life. What you do during that dash, that's what matters. So do good, help people out, whatever you got to do, and don't waste that dash either. By that, and we talk about that a lot too. Don't waste the dash. Go out. Stop putting off what you think, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And we talk about this a lot near the end of the year during the holidays, but don't put off that conversation. Don't put off saying you're sorry. Don't put off forgiving somebody, because life is too short. And that dash is going to be that end date before we know it. So make the most of your dash. And if you are in a bad spot, or you have some mental health things going on that you need to talk about, reach out to someone. Reach out to me, a friend, family member, somebody. But make sure that gets in check, and focus on that dash. What are you going to be remembered by? What are people going to talk about at your funeral? Is it going to be awkward, or is it going to be more of a celebration that, you know what, don't cry because it's over, be happy because it happened, that type of thing. So as you go through your weeks, I know kind of all over the place, but like I said, the 2 things are related just from experience. Usually I'll throw a quote or something, but I just felt that was something that was worth talking about. Because like I said, that whole idea of the dash, it was a good reminder for me to make sure you're living that dash to the fullest. So as you go through your weeks, take care of your mental health, live your dash, and hopefully something resonated with what I said today. That is Tuesday Motivation/Positivity, brought to you by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you can join today. All right, let's get ready for some playoff hockey. What a game. What a team. This is going to be a fun team to get behind here during this playoff run, no matter how long or short it's going to be. 3-2 win over the Hurricanes in a dramatic shootout. Dan Vladar was awesome, specifically in that shootout. Matvei Mishkov and Trevor Zegras scored. Tyson Forrester with the game winner in the shootout. And yes, I know that Carolina had set some of their better players, but the fight in this team to go down 2-0 and come out and play inspired is awesome. And that's everything you need to know about this team. I talked at the beginning of the year about jumping on the bandwagon. Now this is the time to do it. I'm not going to be one of these gatekeeper Flyers fans. Hop on, because it's going to be fun. This team is the future is bright for this team. And early in the season, we talked about bad second periods, how they gave up leads that they shouldn't have. And this team has grown over the past month and a half, 2 months, and has become a very good team. They've learned how to lose. They've learned how to win. And they've taken all of that, and they're carrying it into the postseason. They got one final game tonight, a meaningless game now against the Canadiens. And then buckle up. It's the Penguins. And that is the perfect first round opponent for the first time the Flyers are back in the playoffs in a long time. So Flyers Penguins is always fun. It's going to be, people at work are already talking trash to me, so it's going to be fun. But buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. So let's get fired up. Good win for them. And again, not going to gatekeep. Everybody is welcome on this bandwagon. I inadvertently said the Sixers were playing tonight in their playing game against the Magic. That game is actually tomorrow night because there's a Flyers game tonight. So Sixers Magic tomorrow, 7:30, for the right to play the Celtics. And then across the street from the X yesterday, Phillies Bats woke up. Hitting season. The weather's getting warmer, as Charlie used to say, but exploded for 13 runs, 13-7 win over the Cubs. Christopher Sanchez was good, 6 innings, 8 Ks, 2 earned runs. We have 2 Schwarbombs. JT had a good game. Brandon Marsh got into it. Stott and Bomer had RBI. Ardolis Garcia had got a couple hits. So let's see if we can keep it going now tonight. You got Aaron Nola tonight versus Riley Martin. And if you're a Howard Stern fan, you know the name Riley Martin, and the jokes just write themselves. But Aaron Nola tonight, Phillies looking to make it 2 in a row and keep the offensive explosion going. And then I saw an interesting article about the Eagles. Lots of people talking about the A.J. Brown situation still. And I kind of like this, that how he's constructing this roster right now, flexible, meaning that he's planning on A.J. being there. And with the additions of the receivers and everything, works for the new offensive coordinator with A.J. and everything. But it also provides a little flexibility if they do trade him. So we'll see. I still, like I said, I am in the camp of I don't want to trade him, but we'll see how it plays. But I just thought it was an interesting article. I saw a couple people, I think it was Ian Rappaport first, or Mike Garafolo reported it. One of the guys, I don't know. One of the guys from the NFL Network. But it was interesting. It's not a foregone conclusion. I think everybody keeps going back and forth. So we'll see next week when voluntary OTAs come if AJ is there or not. All right, then yesterday's trivia question, we talked about Bobby Abreu hitting the first home run at Citizens Bank Park. Who are the top 5 home run hitters all time at Citizens Bank Park? That would be Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and Jimmy Rollins. Schwarber, believe it or not, was the one that tripped everybody up, but he's been good since he's been here. All right, some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Jimbo_Mont and continue to spread the word as we continue to grow this thing. Lots of good things happening on the horizon, so stay tuned for some big announcements coming soon. Whether you're coaching Little League, crushing your fantasy league, or just rolling up to a bachelor party like a Philly legend, Lotwin Custom Hype Chains bring the energy. Fully customizable, totally unforgettable, and guaranteed to turn you into the MVP of the moment. Great for teams, groomsmen, or anyone who wants to show off with some serious swagger. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD, and get 10% off your own custom hype chain. Lotwin, let's get hyped together. All right, April 14th. First, we're going to go all the way back to 1914. Phillies opened the season at the Baker Bowl versus the New York Giants. Grover Cleveland Alexander on the mound. Complete game for the Phillies. Sherry McGee went 3 for 3 with 2 homers and 6 RBI. He became the first Philly to hit 2 home runs on opening day, and that happened on this day in 1914. Fast forward 17 years later, same 2 teams, same place, 1931. This time, though, it was the Giants winning 9-5. Same situation, opening day at the Baker Bowl. Chuck Klein went 2 for 5 with 3 RBI. Hit 2 home runs as well on opening day. One of 4 players, including Sherry McGee, to hit 2 home runs on opening day. And of course, you know that's going to lead to a trivia question. Who was the last Philly to hit 2 opening day home runs? There was 4 of them, so who was the 4th Philly, the last one, most recent one? And if you're a regular listener of the podcast, we talked about this guy last week. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531, or the Discord channel, which is in the description. Lots to talk about in Philly sports. Philly's offensive explosion. Of course, A.J. Brown, Sixers playing, but the big story, Flyers, Penguins in the playoffs. Cannot wait, man. That place is going to be electric for Game 3. All right, fast forward to 1936. 5 years later, Phillies opening up at the Baker Bowl once again, this time versus the Braves, who were in their first year of being known as the Bees, B-E-E. They kept that name for about 5 years, but they were the Braves. Phillies win it 4-1, but those who were not in attendance were able to listen to the game for the first time ever on WCAU. Now you might know that station is AM 1210 WPHT, The Talker, I think is what it is. But this was the first home radio broadcast for a Phillies game. Bill Dyer and former umpire Dolly Stark provided the play-by-play, but Phillies fans were able to listen to the game at home from the comfort of their living rooms. Remember, the radios were big piece of furniture in the living rooms at the time. And you also might remember the Phillies were part of the first radio broadcast of any baseball game out in Pittsburgh a few years earlier. But the first radio broadcast of a Phillies home game occurred on this day. Phillies beat the Braves 4-1. Bill Dyer and Dolly Stark on the call. And then we're going to fast forward all the way to 2000. It's Flyers playoff time. Going to be doing a lot of Flyers playoff games here over the next, hopefully, couple weeks. But this time we're going to go back to 2000. Flyers beat the Sabres 2-1 in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals at the First Union Center. They were down 1-0 and struggling against the Dominator, Dominik Hasek, when John LeClair hit a slap shot toward the side of the net that went in the goal. Flyers get credit for a goal, tie the game up, but replays showed that the shot actually went through the side of the net. He hit it so hard, ripped the net, and went in. However, it was reviewed by the NHL, who ruled it was a goal. Now, this is only 26 years ago, but it shows you how the technology has changed. ESPN was experimenting with new cameras, which the NHL crew, which I guess they were in, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter if they're in Toronto or New York, but the NHL replay did not have access to the ESPN feed to see that it went through. Buffalo tried to play the game under protest because of the goal. Unfortunately, the protest came in too late because play had already started, and you couldn't do that. And then Eric Desjardins added a third period power play goal. Flyers win the game 2-1, win the series 4-1. We know how that 2000 playoff run turned out against those Penguins. More on that as the weeks go by. But John LeClair hits a shot that rips the net, goes in, should not have been allowed, but was allowed. And the Flyers used that to carry the momentum to go on and win that series. And that happened on this day in 2000. But the technology has grown exponentially since then. 16 years later, Phillies beat the Padres 3-0 at Citizens Bank Park. Ryan Howard with a homer and 2 RBI. Vince Velasquez, making his second start as a member of the Phillies, pitched a complete game shutout, gave up 3 hits and struck out 16, setting a record for most strikeouts in his first 2 starts with the team with 25. And for those of you keeping score at home, the Phillies' record for strikeouts in a game by a pitcher is 18, set by Chris Short in 1965. And then finally, couldn't let it go without getting some Sixers playoff action in here as well. Go back to 2018, a masked Joel Embiid rang the bell before the game. This is one of the years he was sat out the first couple games with the orbital bone. He had the Phantom of the Opera style mask as he rang the bell. And the Sixers opened the playoffs with a 130-103 win over the Heat. J.J. Redick with 28. Dario Saric with 20. Marco Bellinelli, I told you these teams were fun, had 25 off the bench. Ben Simmons was 1 rebound short of messing around and getting a triple-double. 17 points, 9 rebounds, 14 assists. As the Sixers go up 1-0 in their first round series against the Heat. The series they would win 4-1. And then finally today, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Today we're going to look at Deshaun Jackson, second round pick in 2008. Opened up his rookie season with back-to-back 100-yard games. Ended that year 62 catches, 912 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Would explode in year 2. But made that great first impression. Back-to-back 100-yard games in his first 2 games with the Eagles. Was always a fan favorite. Could stretch the field until Chip Kelly outsmarted himself, I guess you could say. But Deshaun Jackson is today's. You never get a second chance to make a first impression spotlight. Back-to-back 100-yard games in his rookie year, en route to 912 yards that season. On this day in 2018, Joel Embiid, wearing a mask, rang the bell, and the Sixers beat the Heat 130-103. No Joe, no problem for this round. Vince Velasquez struck out 16 as the Phillies beat the Padres 3-0 on this day in 2016. John LeClair scored a goal that went through the side of the net, but counted due to the technology. Flyers beat the Sabres 2-1 to go up 2-0 in their Eastern Conference quarterfinal. First Phillies broadcast of a home game happened on this day in 1936. WCAU, known today as 12:10 a.m. The Talker. Pretty sure that's what they're called today. Phillies beat the Bees, or the Braves, 4-1. Chuck Klein hit 2 home runs at the Baker Bowl on opening day, but the Phillies lose to the Giants 9-5 in 1931. And then 17 years earlier, in 1914, it was Sherry McGee hitting 2 home runs on opening day. Phillies beat the Giants that day as they opened the season at the Baker Bowl. Grover Cleveland Alexander pitched a complete game for the Phils that day. We'll have more on the Flyers. Get you ready for the Sixers playing. Hopefully we should have a schedule for the Flyers at some point today. It might be out now. I don't know. Didn't get a chance to check. And then, of course, can the Phils keep their offense up? We shall see. Tomorrow's What If Wednesday. But as you go through your weeks, remember, if you're going through something, go talk to somebody, take care of your mental health, and then think about that dash. How are you going to be remembered? How are you going to live your life? Make sure that dash counts for you and everybody around you. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for April 14th, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And until next time, let's go Flyers.